Three, two, one. Yo, yo, yo. Three of those for y'all, three of those for us. We back in the building another week. The Say Something show in full effect. Very, very excited to bring what we got to you guys today. Just so y'all know, we're always capitalizing on what's fresh, and we're going to go ahead and look forward on a couple things that haven't quite gotten here to make sure that we're keeping y'all fully up to date, but also looking ahead to the right things that are on the way. Before we get to any of that, we're going to check in, make sure that we're doing cool so that we can deliver you the goods. So, Mitch, how you doing today? Check in with the folks. What's cracking?
What's going on, everybody? Doing good, doing great. Just saw a bunch of finals happen. We got the basketball, NBA, NHL, College World Series, a lot of seasons ending. It's going to be a little bit of a dead time, but looking forward to seeing what's going on with this NBA draft and this next second half of the MLB season.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of free agencies coming up. A lot of rosters will be changing. A lot of overhauls, front office changes. This is usually the time where, even though it slows down a little bit, for those who really pay attention to behind the scenes, is when it really, really picks up, actually. So there will still be a lot to talk about. We are definitely going to ensure that, obviously, like Mitch is saying, that we got y'all on whatever is there, no problemo. In terms of how I'm doing, pretty good. No complaints. Ready to get to this show today. Nice and sweet in terms of the intro and making sure that it's short because we want to get to the actual content. Yes, sir. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well out there today. I hope everything is going well with your lives. We know that, everything can get complicated. So make sure that you're checking on the people around you, the people you care for, the people you love. Mental health is a big thing. You never know what that check-in can do. So that's why we do this with each other. And we like to remind you guys to make sure you're doing that at home as well. So today, wonderful day, we have where we can start off, I think, just knocking this out, which is the NHL, very recently crowned a new champion.
Yes, sir.
The Florida Panthers. I can only imagine what's going on in Florida right now.
Very nice.
Some all-new Reddit red tweets about Florida man stuff going on today. I'll bet it's crazy celebration action happening.
It's a real sketchy one. They was up 3-0 and then it got back to 3-3.
Exactly.
Looking like
they almost be a reverse sweep. They almost fumbled the bag.
Got lucky. Yeah. I seen the last few minutes. They kind of were like trying to hide the puck so the other team wouldn't get it, just run out of time.
Yeah. I'm not going to front.
They squeaked out of there.
Yeah, I'm not going to front. I don't watch enough hockey to really analyze the truth about it. So I found it very interesting that people weren't that uncomfortable. Even after they had come back and they were 3-1 down. A lot of these real hockey heads were like, I'm good with that. I'll still take it.
Works different in hockey.
And it was very surprising. Yeah, and so it's not the first in history as well, which there are other sports that we follow that has never happened. So get that out the way. But I was surprised that was the dynamic of how they were looking at Connor McDavid, where they truly just felt like,
no, he could just take over.
Yeah, they truly felt like, man, they caught him slipping, and now he's awake.
Yeah.
And so it's that's not enough. And they were looking at Florida I don't know if that team is skilled enough if they're waking McDavid like that.
Yeah.
Because they're just such a rough and physical team. But I just always sat there and was like, I just think they're going to lose the next one and it's all over. Yeah. And then it was astonishing to see that they were able to push them all the way to almost fumble in the bag. And they were able to take care of it at home to end it all off. Congrats to them. Congrats, golf clap all around.
Good job.
NHL
Florida.
Season over. Now on to the NHL off season, which will be highlighted by the San Jose Sharks taking the number one pick, baby.
Number one pick, baby.
Stop playing with the game.
I don't know his name, but I know he's going to be really good.
I think it's Macklin Celebrini.
Celebrini.
I'm getting good at the name just because, man, anytime we're going to bring a number one home, I got to feel good about it. I want to get to know the guy, not in a weird way, just in a way that's hey, man, come rep us right. Number ones, especially when it's not just a year like it is with the hoop.
Yeah.
Where it's this is a defined number one. Maybe he's
this,
not.
This is gonna be a guy.
Maybe he's not Connor Bedard, who came in last year, who they're saying, that's basically Victor Wembanyama.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. This is looking like maybe we're getting a Paolo Banchero, a John Morant.
Okay, that's better.
You know what I'm saying? Paolo's raw though. I'm not gonna lie. Like Orlando's. Think about how butt Orlando was, and then they drafted. We don't have to get into that.
I mean, we've always talked about the East. I mean,
the East is soft. The East is soft, but I'm just saying that Paolo's 21.
Paolo's looking like a little.
He's 21. Nah, he do 6'11". 6'11" Bow Wow. He look like a big Bow Wow.
Hey,
anyway,
better not start pulling that dehydration.
Paolo, you see that I'm shouting you out, even though you're a Duke boy, so that's menacing on my part. But let's make sure we stay on track with it, because otherwise we could go into this for days with the NBA who's. NHL though, again, that'll put a bow on it, and I'm just excited to see what happens with that new kid. Tore up college hockey at Boston College, won all the awards you can as a freshman. So I'm excited to see if they're going to make him transition right away, or if he stays another year. That's another big thing with hockey that I'm way less familiar with. That seems to be a little more like baseball in terms of they'll draft a guy knowing he's not coming right now. We're going to let him sit where.
Well, we need you, buddy.
No. For
come
real.
On down.
For real. Unless the strategy is to keep being butt.
And then to just one.
And to just stack, because we got Will Smith. Man, I think his name is Will Smith. It's a terrible name because everybody's got that name. But we drafted him last year, 4th overall.
Okay.
And then
stacking up the picks.
And then
we
have and then we have a dude from the year prior who was 7th overall. And these are all attackers. Like, so one is like Will Smith, who's a center, just like the Celebrini cat is. And then the other dude is a winger. And then I think we have one other player as well he wasn't top 10, but I think he was 14. And he too is a winger. So they're all, I think, 21 and under. I think a couple of them have come up already. I think 2 of the first drafted have come up. The guy who was number 4, Will Smith, he has not come up yet. And maybe they're going to bring them both up together. Who knows? But we do have some guys waiting in the wing that are goons.
Time to grow up, boys.
Yeah.
Time to grow up.
So it'll be looking nice in a couple years, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of approach they take. Whether it'll be like, look, let's just be butt. Yeah. Like, let's just not bring them up. Let's go snag one more, and then we're bringing up 4 guys who are goons ready to kick it together.
Let's get a defender. Let's get one defender.
Yeah. Let's throw one defender in there. You know what I mean? Because we're stupid top heavy.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that, because apparently that's the style that we're going for with this regime. Is like, I mean, of course we're going to need defenders, but they want us to be kind of like one of the high octane offenses. So see if it works. I'm with it. Let's put something together. So next we're gonna hop into more familiar territory. We're gonna hand this right off into the corner that you guys love, that I love, the hot corner, the one that turns 2 every time. Mitch is gonna handle baseball right now, give you a little bit of MLB, NCAA, and everything you need all in between.
Yes, sir. So we got a lot of things going on. We got some MLB news, MLB updates, and we got a college champion crowned. We got the Tennessee Volunteers winning the championship. Number 1 overall team, so we'll get into how they won that, as well as get into our hot hitters and then some MLB news. So to start off, we got Max Scherzer coming back, first start of the season, came in, got the W for the Rangers in his first start. Yeah, a little short something, got in there, got out, got his win, early lead for the Rangers, took it for them. So nice to see him back, Cy Young Award winner guy. So he's going to be fun to watch for the rest of the season. Hopefully help the Rangers turn it around. Next, we got the All-Star game coming up July 16th, Globe Life Field in Texas.
One of the last All-Star games that matter.
Yeah,
in terms
one of the last
of
ones that matter.
Yeah.
Because things are changing, times are changing.
Yeah.
But it's going to be nice to see the guys come out. Let me know who you guys think should be All-Stars from your team, your favorite teams. Put it in the comments. Let us know who you think is really balling out there.
And let us know if you believe in the overall rules of the All-Star game. Do you think that that's awesome, that it really dictates who's the home team in the World Series? Or do you think that's too much on a game that is controlled kind of by people who might have no say-so in who's actually in the World Series in the long run? I personally think it's super awesome. What do you like? I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I really could care less, honestly, if that's the case. Like you said, I don't think it like really can incentivize them to play any harder because they're just in the midst of the season. So they're just trying to get one inning in if they're a pitcher, And then his hitters, they're just trying not to get hurt out there.
Exactly.
That's really the main thing. So, I mean, it's cool whether they have it or not. But if they want to try and incentivize them to play a little bit harder, I don't know. They might have to raise the stakes with like money incentives or something if they really want to see some more competition out there. But it's tough when guys are just trying to chill and relax and enjoy the fun, exciting time of being an all-star. But yeah, I think it'll be a fun event. I think things will be good. Home run derby should be exciting.
Always.
Hopefully we can get Judge in there, Vladdy Jr. Some guys. I know Tatis just got hurt.
Right.
So we're not going to be able to see him if he's an option. But I think we'll have some heavy hitters again this year. Maybe like a Kyle Schwarber get in there again.
Right.
But yeah, let us know who you guys want to see out there on the field in the home run derbies in the comments.
Absolutely.
Now we can move on to our hot hitters. We got hot hitters and hot pitchers. Been balling for the last few weeks. Some new different names that we might have heard of, and then some of the more familiar
faces.
We got my boy Yamir Candelario.
Oh yeah,
for the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh yeah,
hard name to say. Is Jamier.
Yeah,
man, it's a tough one. Jaimier. Hey, let us know.
Yeah,
but he's batting .326, 5 home runs, 7 runs, 12 RBIs. So he's killing it for them. He's somebody who's been coming on. Supposed to be a big prospect, was struggling a bit. Now he's doing his thing. Another struggling guy to start the season that's going to be happy for everybody to see. Austin Riley for the Atlanta Braves.
Right. Yeah.
Batting .340, 5 home runs, 10 runs, 10 RBIs over the last 2 weeks. He's somebody turning around for, again, a team with the Braves who are struggling with injuries and behind the number 1 Philadelphia Phillies by 8 games. So they're going to need all hands on deck if they're going to come back. But hopefully they can make it for the wild card.
That's a stretch.
Next up, young prospect, killing it in San Diego, Jackson Merrill.
Yeah.
He's been sticking, batting .326, 7 home runs, 9 runs, 13 RBIs. He's sticking down there, going to step in, be perfect for Fernando Tatis replacement, just to be a stick on the team, to be consistent out there. It's nice to see him doing his thing. A young guy, very, very young rookie season. Next, we got another guy who needed to step it up after a rough couple of weeks in the beginning of the season. We got Anthony Santander.
Yeah.
Baltimore Orioles. Team with a lot of talent, but he's sticking in there, holding his own. He has 6 home runs, 9 runs, 15 RBIs over the last few weeks. He's holding up strong for an Orioles team that's trying to make it against the New York Yankees, who are 52 and 28.
They're balling.
They're 2 games behind them, so hopefully he can stay hot, help push them against a good New York Yankees team.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we got to shout out the number 1 man in fantasy, number 1 man in baseball, Shohei Ohtani for the LA Dodgers. I mean, he doesn't stop hitting.
Superhero, man.
.362, 8 home runs, 14 runs, 17 RBIs. I mean, it's just every game the guy's putting up numbers. Yeah, he's the modern day Babe, modern day Willie Mays. He's all of them in one. He can do it all. So again, if you haven't been watching a lot of baseball, watch some Shohei Ohtani highlights. You'll be amazed. So now to our hot pitchers. We got our man Ronel Blanco, who earlier in the season was killing it.
Yeah.
Then started getting the road of struggles for a little while, but he's come up strong in the last few weeks. He has a .9 ERA over his last 3 starts, 3 wins, 20 strikeouts.
Shoving.
Killing it, shoving. Astros, another team really trying to step up in the AL West division, who the Mariners are the leading team, but they're trying to make a push. It's really tough. They're 5.5 back, but hopefully
they started off so bad.
Yeah, they started off so bad.
So bad.
They got enough talent to come back, though, in the AL West.
So bad.
Next, we got a no-name, my man Tobias Myers for the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
He's got a 1.04 ERA, 3 wins, 15 Ks, killing it for the Guardians.
Toby.
With his running mate, Tanner Bybee, who's also been shoving for the Guardians. They got back-to-back guys.
After a slow start.
After a very slow start.
Woo!
Also with the help of Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez absolutely sticking on offense.
Yeah, those 2.
They're going to work. That team's starting to pick it up. And they're a team that's on top of their division by 8 games. So they're holding it strong. But yeah, Tanner Bybee, 2.06 ERA, 2 wins, 30 strikeouts, and 17 innings. Absolutely shoving right now. Next, we got our young rookie phenom and Paul Skeens.
Man,
He's been absolutely
familiar
killing it out
face,
there.
familiar face.
Yes, sir. He's going to be on your screens for a long time. He's going to be a potential all-star guy.
Beast.
.93 ERA, just one win. That's what happens when you're on the Pirates.
The
It's tough to get some
lowly,
offense.
the
He
lowly
pitched
Pirates.
seven innings, no runs his last outing, and still couldn't get the win.
Ask Garrett Cole.
It's real tough. Yeah, Garrett Cole got out of there after a few years of them not putting up runs. But yeah, .93 ERA, one win, 23 strikeouts in 19 innings. He's shoving 104 miles an hour, 103 mile an hour on his last pitch of his last game. So he's going to be somebody exciting to watch. Anybody you want to emulate or somebody you want to watch and emulate, watch Paul Skeens up on the mound. And last but not least, I got to shout out my man Sonny Gray, the former Oakland A. He's actually been killing it. Coming off a good season from last year. He's got a 1.66 ERA over the last 2 weeks, 2 wins, 21 strikeouts. So I got to shout him out. He's somebody who had a rocky few years, but now he's actually absolutely shoving. So it's nice to see that. And then going back to Vlad Guerrero Jr., there are some potential Yankee trade talks. That would be exciting to see with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge already over there.
Right.
Anthony Rizzo got hurt. They brought in J.D. Davis from the A's, but I don't know if that will be enough. So if they're able to make that splash, that'll be some exciting baseball in the Bronx.
For sure. Especially with Soto up in the air in the offseason.
They need to pay that man.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can get him to come back.
Yeah. I mean,
being in first place, having this much fun with Judge, I'd be surprised if he left.
It'd be hard. I mean, I think it'll just be more a question of is the money there? You know what I mean? Because they're acting stingy. You know how they've been lately.
Come on, Steinbrenners. They need to show
you know
it
how
out.
hurt they've been.
Give them it.
To me, this is different because they've never gotten a guy like Soto at like 25, 26. Mm-hmm. They're always signing like a Stanton at like 30. So like
Stanton just went down.
Contract. Yeah,
so
exactly.
They need him to stay.
They got to pay the right guys. You know what I mean?
Juan Soto, get that check.
Scared money don't make none. Otherwise, the Mets will step in surely and just be like, you can just walk.
The Mets,
you can just walk.
Tough.
They got the money. They got the money. They're butt, but they got the money. Sorry.
Let's see what's going on right now. We got the Yankees at 52-28, and we got the Mets at 37-39.
Yuck.
Oof.
Bad business.
Bad business. That's pretty tough.
Bad business. But a player like Juan Soto could easily.
Yeah, I mean, he did it to the Nationals.
He could help, swing things, if you will. Yeah. So you guys, man, again, utilize this guy right here for your fantasy teams. Make sure you're up on it. You know, sometimes you got to move things around. He'll be mentioning injuries, different things like that. If your app's not updating you, we will. So make sure after this you take these notes. Mm-hmm. You'll take them to whatever apps are necessary for you to update your teams. But also, of course, for the mind and for the updates on teams you love and players you love, my man's has got it regardless. So, did you tell him how the Tennessee ended up winning that? Oh yeah, my bad. I was like, hold on, we didn't get to hear because Tennessee it's a 3-game series. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I thought
a 3-game series.
Yeah,
College World Series, Omaha, Nebraska, came down to Tennessee and Texas A&M, two top teams,
first seed and third seed, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, was it Brandon Montgomery or Jordan Montgomery? Jordan Montgomery for Texas A&M, their best hitter, going to be a top draft pick this coming season. Broke his ankle last series, so he was not able to play. That would have really helped them in this series to win. But game 1, actually, Texas A&M did take the win.
Yeah.
They scored early, taking a 7-2 lead through the first 3 innings. From there, both teams would put up runs in the 7th inning, 2 for Texas A&M, and then 3 for Tennessee. Mm-hmm. So in the bottom of the 7th, it was a 9-5 game, and that's basically how it ended. Texas A&M came in there, shut them down for the last 6 outs, took the win 9-5, up 1-0 in the series. Game 2, also neck and neck. Yeah, very high scoring for that first.
A high octane first.
Big 3rd inning for the Texas A&M.
Jumped on.
Game 2 was neck and neck. A&M scored 1 run in the first inning, held Tennessee scoreless until the 7th inning when Dylan Dreiling hit a 2-run bomb to right field, take the lead. Up 2-1 in the bottom of the 8th. Tennessee tacks on 2 more runs. Got some insurance from Cal Stark. Another 2-run home run to give them a 4-1 lead.
Get out of there.
They would hold on to that one, and they would send it to a deciding game 3, tie 1-1 in the series. Game 3 was another close game. Christian Moore, number one hitter for Volunteers, most home runs in the all Volunteers history.
Dang.
Going to be a top 15 pick in the draft. Hits a leadoff home run to start the game, 1-0 lead. A&M would tie it in the top of the third, but then Tennessee would respond with 2 more runs, and then it would be a 3-1 lead going through the third inning. After that, in the 7th, that man Dylan Dreiling again, another 2-run bomb to give them some insurance, 5-1 lead. And after that, Kavaris Tears, great outfielder for them, played center and right field, made a lot of great plays out there, hits a double, gets another run in, has them up 6-1 in the 7th inning. In the 8th inning, A&M would cut into the lead with 2 runs to make it 5-3. And in the 9th, A&M would add 2 more runs to make it 6-5. 2 outs, nobody on. Tennessee comes down, strikes out the last guy, and it. Tennessee Volunteers are your champions for the College World Series, NCAA champions. So shout out to you guys. Tony Vitello, the coach over there at Tennessee, has really built a strong program. So it's going to be exciting to see them in the future. They have a lot of great players still coming through and a lot of guys you're going to see in the MLB soon. So that's our wrap up there.
There it
That's
is.
done with MLB College World Series wrap up. Hey, man, let us know what you think. Who you're excited to see in this upcoming MLB draft, man. Tell us in the comments.
Absolutely. As always, appreciate
Yes, sir.
that. That's a great update. Season in the books for college. We'll see where those guys end up. Lots of promising names, as always, in the College World Series in terms of their relation to draft stock and what ends up happening to them. You know, is always a little less of a guarantee than some of the other sports, but phenomenal nonetheless to see where all these guys are going to end up going and how their pro career will pan out, whether they go back for another year of college or not. But I'm excited to see that. So awesome. Next, we got a little bit of soccer to sprinkle in here. It's a big summer of soccer, as you guys all know. Baby. Man, it's pretty much from morning until night. There's a game going on right now, even Argentina versus Chile. You got a little Messi sighting in there. So a lot to go over. There's even going to be Olympics coming up. We've talked about that a little bit for basketball. There's also obviously soccer as well. So there's a lot of summer soccer, and that's not even discussing any of the transfers and things that are coming up, because summer, as we all know, for those who watch club, is the main time where these big names, big faces are going to end up changing jerseys, swapping geographical locations. And so it'll be very exciting to see. There'll be nothing that'll really stop us from having news.
Got some news on the board just right now, man. Got some wild
stuff
happening. We'll get to that. We'll get to our next segment, but let's get through that. Let's get through that soccer first, and then we'll get to the news update.
Oh boy, yeah. I got it.
Damn, we didn't done that. Damn.
Five first though as well.
Oh, that's woo! I didn't see that part. Okay, yeah. Anyway.
So we definitely got some news. NBA's blessing us, as we said, man. The summer never will let you sleep for too long. But pretty much where we're at right now is we're on the last day of the Euros in terms of the group stage. So that means tomorrow, after the games wrap up, there'll be 4 games. After those games wrap up, all the group stage is over. Wherever all these teams end up finishing respectively in their groups will be how the rest of these matchups end up being selected for the round of 16, which is then what they call the knockout stage. So I'm going to go over a little bit of scores first and foremost, and just in terms of what happened recently. But I'm also going to give you guys a little outlook on some potential matchups and who I really think at the end of the day is kind of not shown up yet. And, it's really, the tournament doesn't start till the knockout phase. So, how teams end up dealing with the group stage has kind of changed over time. And there are a lot of teams that play it very, very meticulously in terms of I just want to skate by. They know the minimum of what they need, and they're willing to finish first or second, knowing that if you're a top third place finishing team, you're going to advance as well now. So there's a lot of looseness in how all this goes down. But we had some of the saddest stuff in terms of teams who have left. We had Croatia, who ended up checking out. Very,
See you later.
yeah, and they've had it tough, pretty much ever since they went on and snagged themselves a World Cup. They had a World Cup, the finals appearance, which for if that's nothing to scoff at, and they were all at the peak of their primes. Modric, Perisic, those guys, and they even had I'm forgetting his Rakitic. But they've aged out, and they just don't have the same kind of golden generation that's like filling in these shoes as they're leaving. Yeah. So it's sad to see some of these guys who really are fighters and who are we're known to see winning, just not have enough gas, not be able to go the full games. But at the end of the day, leaving all their heart out on the field. Modric played really well this tournament. They actually could potentially advance, but it's going to be very, very hard because of the fact that, in that last second, they really allowed Albania to score that goal, tie it up 2-2, which is nuts. I mean, that is a game that I don't, I just talked about how they're old, but that doesn't matter. Like when you're playing a team like Albania, you put
me playing the Albanian
league. You put me out there. On the same team put me out there with Modric. We'll figure it out. So sad day for Croatia in that sense, and I truly feel like that's when they lost it. Even though that last game, they went at it, obviously, and went right at Italy and gave them all that they had. It was very clear that it's like, you're in a group with Spain and Italy. You got to take what you can everywhere else. You got to go snag that up. And so I really felt like they lost control of that group when they tied Albania. Because, starting off tying is totally fine. But, when they started off losing that game to Spain, and then you go and tie Albania, I think you're looking at yourself like, we've done this to ourselves. So sorry to say, Croatia, we've got long ties in terms of me rooting for you, but that checker jersey's out of here. I'm sorry to say.
Up.
That brings me to the same thing. This is Group B, which to me I'm starting off with just because it's the group of death, and because some of these games happened today, recently. But in terms of Spain, they're probably the top team right now in terms of in form. 3-0, very smoothly handling these teams. It seems like their roster construction, they're not very deep, but it seems like that starting 11 is really like that. And they have a nice mixture of veterans and youngsters, which is, in my opinion, how you usually see the winning teams in this tournament constructed, is a nice split between old, young, youthful energy and, that veteran savviness. And then you had Italy, who, at the end of the day, really just fought their way through this. As any Italian team would. They're like, we're barely going to score any goals. Their goal differential, as usual, is a beautiful zero. So that's their forte, right? So if anybody knows the Italian defense, if you played soccer, you probably got taught this at some point. It's basically everybody's behind the midline when the opposing team has the ball. That's the Italian defense. That's how it's structured. It can be manipulated in different ways, but that's how it goes. We're sitting back here and we're waiting on you. And it, for them, it works a lot. And the reality is they don't produce a lot of high-end attackers either. So it does make sense that it's like, if they are able to get, let's say a Lewandowski in his prime on their team, or they're able to get, like a Haaland at some time is Italian, maybe they'll switch it up. But at this point, you play FIFA, I play FIFA.
Balotelli, bring him back.
That's the last time. And you're only ever getting what? Center backs, really, right? When you're pulling an Italian, if he's good, it's a center back.
Yeah.
So
CDM.
Exactly. You use that back four kind of lane, and then you might get a CDM in there. So you had them scraping through. That's the group of the death. That's how it's going to end up finishing out. It'll be very interesting to see how these teams end up getting matched up with other teams. In Group A, we have Germany, who are going to end up finishing first. They, too, probably look like the other team that is kind of in motion. They've got things going. They seem to have figured out a lineup that they're consistent with. They're bringing in subs in the same way each game, and it's working effectively. And finally, they look fast enough. I mean, I think something that a lot of people always complain about with Germany, and if you play with them in FIFA, they're just slow. I mean, they're just flat out hard to get down the field with. Most of the guys on that team are like 67 pace, again, referencing FIFA. But
slow.
You're not getting out of there with those guys. But you have, Musiala, you have Sane, you have Nabry. You have some of these guys now who bring a different look. You know what I mean? And
he's just naming all the black guys on the team.
Well, I mean, that's why you got to say a different look. You know what I mean? And they have Timo Werner as well, who's also very fast up top.
Can't finish the same.
You know what I mean? Well, this year he was a lot better on Tottenham. You know what I mean? But none of those other dudes can either. None of them black dudes can either. Those are not finishers either. But they will get down there and they will kick that ball across. And then Musiala, he's not super fast, but he has the creative energy, that buzz that you need from a 10, from a maestro. And, Germany is known to have the more Thomas Mueller sniper types at that position, which are good for the style that they play. But again, this is just allowing them to play differently. And so I think it makes them a lot harder to deal with. And their defense is finally looking a little better as well. Also, Gundogan might be the most underrated player in the world right now. The guy just shows up everywhere. Plays super well for Barcelona, plays super well for Germany. And then, obviously we all know what he did when he was with Man City. So the Swiss are going to go ahead and finish that group second with 2 ties and a win. Beautiful work by them, how they navigated this group. The team is good. They're pretty much everything a Swiss team is. I think I brought the Swiss up before. They're just a team. They just have players that play in Europe all across every position, but none of them are necessarily like stars, but they're all right there, willing to play together, willing to go get it. And you can definitely see that in how they play, but they're just mistake-free. And this kind of performance in the group stage shows exactly that. They just made no mistakes. They let you make the mistakes, they capitalize, and they advance. Hungary, I felt kind of hard-pressed for. Played very well. They got a couple, I talked about them as well. They got a couple talents now who are actually world-class talents. I think it's going to end up taking a little more. They give you a little bit of that Lewandowski in their, prime vibes, and even Holland and Zlatan, where it's like, God, you're going to just have to be a superstar, you know what I mean, to make this happen. But nonetheless, it's sad to see. So Hungary, man, valiant effort. Shout out to all you Hungarians. Keep it up, man. It's good to see you guys have some world stars finally. Scotland, never saw you guys this whole tournament. Finished 0-1-2. That'd be 1 tie, 2 losses. Not worth talking about. Andy Robertson, Liverpool's man. That's the notable guy. Also, Kieran Tierney, who both so happen to play left back. Yeah, Tomine as well. He's all right, McTominay. But the 2 most notable players on their team both play left back, which is unfortunate, and they're just not it. Next, so that was Group A. We've gone over Group B as well. That was the group of death that I started with. Group C, we have England finishing that group first, very nastily. This is probably every England fan's nightmare, other than not advancing out of the group stage, just because they look awful. This group was not strong. This group wasn't weak either, but it wasn't a strong group. There's no gimmies in this group, and it's a group that doesn't really. It's a very defensive group. But England, by all stretches, should be head and shoulders above these guys. This team, even for England standards, is super freaking talented. I think they have one of the worst coaches in it. I think Gareth Southgate is awful. I think that the way he's choosing these players, I feel like he wants out. Cole Palmer, who I feel like is maybe the most informed player for England right now in terms of what he did for Chelsea. Only Erling Haaland had more goal contributions than him in the Premier League last year. And the guy just got his first minutes today and was in there, getting active, even though they ended up still tying. Who would have thunk? It's like they got him in there and he really did start to change the tide of things. And to see a cat like that who's young and playing primed out, and he's getting his first PT in game 3, to me, that's coaching. And to me, you have to figure it out, fire the guy. But I don't see them getting very much farther. I wouldn't be surprised if they get knocked out in this next round. And then it looks like good old Denmark will advance with 3 ties, which is nasty, and that'll just be on goal differential and as well cards. Slovenia, sadly, when you're a third place team and you've only had 3 ties, you're just not going to advance. So we have Serbia, who again, just like a bunch of these last place teams like Albania and Scotland, not much to talk about. You had 2 ties and a loss, but again, this group was just tying themselves all the way around. So it was going to be a low scoring point total that got them out of there regardless. On to a better group, less boring. We have Group D, which this to me was probably my favorite group to watch. Very entertaining ball all the way around. We had Austria, which was the surprise of the tournament, finishing first overall. Definitely some talent out there on that team. But when you're looking at France in your group, you're looking at Netherlands in your group, and even a team like Poland, who when fully healthy, they can do you some damage. They can sneak up on you. It just seemed like they had a lot of work to do. Some people were actually calling them to be a dark horse. I heard a lot of that conversation going into this, and I definitely, did not want to take a longer look at that. I had no belief in it. And now I will say I'm a believer. They play a really good style of ball, really good brand of ball, which just requires zero mistakes to be made. And at the end of the day, they play very compact. So they're not one of these teams like, we see with these fast-paced wingers who are going to be very stretched out. They're very willing to battle it right in the middle of the field with you. And if you like that kind of soccer, this is your team right here. And they're going to score on you on the counters. They're just going to beat you up in the middle, wait to kick a counter, and they have enough talent to go ahead and finish that off. France, probably one of the underperforming teams of this tournament right now. They do have 1 win and 2 ties, so by no means are they, sitting out here shitting the bed completely. But France is probably the most talented team in this tournament on paper. And, they have, I think, an own goal, and I think that they have a penalty goal. So I don't even think they've scored an authentic goal, if you will, in this tournament.
Yikes.
And that is gross. I mean, that offense, those names on that team, you got Mbappe, Dembele, Griezmann, and that, even off the bench, it's like, anybody can come in and be super talented on that team. Mm-hmm. Nobody's doing anything. So that's unfortunate. We'll see. Their midfield's not very strong to me, France. That's the one area of weakness. They lost Pogba. Conte's kind of getting old. Rabiot, I'm not the biggest fan of. So I would say if they're susceptible in one place, it is there. But the rest of those guys won't get it together. Netherlands, as well as one of these very weird teams, they too will advance as a third place team. But they could have easily been second. This group was up in the air, until the last game, which was this morning. And I think that Netherlands, to me, is good, just not good enough. Mm-hmm. They have top-tier talent. It's just nothing that's going to really break the bank. I'm not a Memphis Depay fan. You can take that headband off, sir. Yeah, that is disgusting. Talk about bad look of the year. I don't know if Drizzy told you to do that. I don't know what was happening. But I'll be Kendrick for you and just tell you, go ahead and take that off, sit down, be humble. And he scored a decent goal today, but, these guys are just not enough. Frankie de Jong not being there, I think, is a big no-go for them. He might be their best player, most influential midfielder. I think they get knocked out easy in this next round, and they're going to face a first. They're going to face another group's 1. So it's going to be really, really, really hard. Next, we have 2 of the, kind of bottom-dwelling groups here. But nonetheless, still some exciting ball was played, undoubtedly. We have another shocker, Romania, coming out of this group, finishing first. Not that it was a super, super tough group, but definitely did not see them finishing over Slovakia. Just pretty surprised, but they got a great jump out when they beat Ukraine 3-0. Yeah. So they really started off the tournament right. We talked about that being a very surprising game. And that's sometimes all it takes, right? Is you just get one of those good starts. Now you're rolling in the tournament, and especially in this group setting where it's all about points.
Trying to get a tie.
Yeah, man. You get out of there with the right points, and the right things happen with the other teams, and poof, here you go. You're in first place, exiting out of there. What I will say is there are some 2s and some 3s licking their chops at this group, going, give me that. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see some fishiness tomorrow in the last games for some of these other groups that settle out in terms of who's trying to see who.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a group. That and the Austria group will be very interesting in terms of who they're throwing forth at the number one and how other teams look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Belgium finished second, honestly playing atrocious ball. Belgium is another one of those teams that, in my opinion, the golden era is just passed.
Yeah.
Those guys are done. Eden Hazard, is no longer there. Kevin De Bruyne is super amazing, but he's out there to the neck. Romelu Lukaku's past his prime, still trying to do it for him. But there's just not enough elsewhere. Jeremy Doku's amazingly talented, but doesn't quite. He's kind of like the young Raheem Sterling, where he just doesn't quite have the it yet to really contribute, but he does everything else right. And then there's a couple other names in there. Luka Baku, some of those guys that are good enough, but just they're not going to really sway you to go, man, these guys I'm confident in. And also they've been beefing with Thibaut Courtois, who's the number one keeper in the world, in my opinion. So he's only been playing every so often, which I find to be very funny with some of these coaches and some of the politics that goes into this stuff. There's a lot of behind the scenes that really dictates these rosters, but it wouldn't save Belgium anyway. Then we have Slovakia in third, who they will not advance because they finish again with a measly set of points at the end here. But all this whole group really came down to the last day because they all have the same record. So it's just ended up finishing on who faced who, goal differential, and then probably came down to some cards. So
these ones are tomorrow.
These games, yeah. These ones are the ones that are the finishing out of their tournament. But regardless, right now they're all finishing out. So, or at least so far, they all have the same record. So it'll be very interesting to see because even like getting the 1, 2, 3, and 4 lined up, these are only lined up not based on points anymore. Like this is now based on whatever extra has gone in that we haven't seen on the behind the scenes. So it'll be very interesting to see Group E shake out because really it's all up in the air and anything will go based on the matchups tomorrow. And then we have Group F, which is we have Portugal finishing up top, another very soft group, Turkey, Czech Republic, who's now going by Chechnya, and we have Georgia, who maybe is one of the worst teams in the tournament just in terms of like they just don't even have enough pros. They do have one guy who plays on Napoli, but like they don't even have a bunch of guys who are in top flight soccer, let alone European soccer. So it's tough to watch for them a little bit, but they were able to get a tie in there. Shout out to Czech Republic, who are terrible. Somehow have really lost their way. Back in the day with Pavel Nedved, those guys, they had some real ballers. Now I'd say their best player is probably like Patrick Schick, who's okay, a decent Bundesliga player, but none of these guys. This group ended up being very, very lackluster. But Portugal handled business. They're supposed to 2 wins. And again, both of these groups have their final games tomorrow. So I believe it's Portugal playing Georgia and Turkey playing Czech Republic or Chechnya. And I believe we have Romania is going to go ahead and play Belgium. And then you have Slovakia playing Ukraine. So that wraps up where we're at with that. Again, I'll touch bases next time once we get a little more of the matchups ironed out in terms of who ends up where. Should be some really awesome ball coming up, though. And like I said earlier, I do believe the tournament really starts in these knockout phases. It's where you start seeing the real high-end ball and people putting their boots on and giving it all a go because they know if they don't, they're going home. So I'm excited to see. So that's the Euros. There's a lot more soccer to be played, but I will make sure that, like I said, I'm keeping everything fully up to date as that tournament progresses. And then we have Copa America to finish it out, which is not as far along. The group stage is still in progress. A lot of these teams are either in game 1 or game 2. I believe most of the teams should all have played 1 now. Yeah, so we're all in game 2 or 3. Mainly should be 2. From what I'm looking at. But this is a smaller tournament as well, so a very, very similar setup, groups, and then they'll advance on to the knockouts. So we got Argentina right now leading out Group A. They were able to handily defeat Canada, and it really could have been 5-0. Ends up being 2-0, but it could have been 5-0. Messi had a couple shots that he usually would put away. But Canada is not soft by no means. So, to even say that just shows how dominant Argentina is. It really could have been 5-0, but Canada, they're solid, and I think they actually have a chance to potentially advance in second out of this group. They did handle their business today, which I'll talk about in a second, but they were able to beat Peru. The homeboy behind the camera, that's his squad. But Peru unfortunately got an early red card, man. Guy came in with his studs showing and came with enough force that the ref just felt, you know what, he originally gave him a yellow, went and looked at it, VAR. They told him, hey, man, take a look. He went back there. He's like, oh, no, he tried to break something. I got to go back and get him out of there. And the announcer made some like super, super egregious comment. It was crazy how many times you'll see soccer announcers, the foreign ones, saying, well, like, hey, it's a little edgy there. But they were like, yeah, now we know why they call him the Beast. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn, I feel like that nickname probably has a little more of a positive side to it when they gave it to him. But hey, you know what? We want to animal, turn him into an animal right now. We can. But, we have Canada, who is now in second only because they've played 2 games. And we have Chile right now who's playing Argentina, which will also end up weighing out where these teams finish at the end of the night. But where it is right now, we have 1 Argentina, 2 Canada, 3 Chile, and 4 Peru. Peru down bad, doing bad. And, man, I'm hoping something good can happen for them boys. They can get a win to get themselves at least in a shot of advancing. If they can win that last game, they still have a shot. But the homeboy, who is a big-time player for them today, will not be playing. I forget his name, but he got red carded, and he's not going to play the next game, obviously. And then Chile in this group is just, they used to be so dope. Man, Alexis Sanchez, Vidal, these guys were just, Medel, these dudes were just ballers, and they were terrifying to go against. Another one of those cases of the golden generation just kind of fading out and nobody replacing them. On to Group B, we have Venezuela, Mexico, Ecuador, Jamaica, in that order. This group is very interesting. I'm shocked Venezuela's in first. That's definitely a surprise. Ecuador is definitely a dark horse in this thing. For those of you who aren't familiar with soccer right now, the world of it, Ecuador definitely has some young ballers, which I'm not used to saying. But they got some cats that can definitely do it, and they have a 17-year-old who just got signed to Chelsea, who is a savage, who's number 10 for them right now. So we'll see if they can turn it around. They have Enter Valencia as well, who ended up being the one who got that red card, which in my opinion is why they lost that first game. You end up giving up that red card to Mexico, and it's going to be on and popping from there. But I truly believe that they're capable of making a comeback. Obviously, one of their better players won't be there, but I'm shocked that Venezuela's in first. And then Jamaica actually has a bunch of dudes that used to be England or other nationalities that ended up not panning out there and ended up going with Jamaica. So they actually have more top-tier talent than you would think, but I don't think it'll be enough again. It'll be interesting to see how good Mexico does in this tournament, because they are not as strong as they usually are, and a lot of those familiar names that you're used to, who were stars on that team, are just no longer there, and they were there for a long time. So it'll be interesting to see how those shoes get filled. Group C, we have Uruguay, United States, Panama, and Bolivia. This is a very, very interesting group as well. Obviously, United States, in my opinion, should be favored to get out of there. Uruguay would be right there with us, though, and I'm sure they'd have something to say about it. But, with who we have on our team, we should be able to give them a good go. And Uruguay is very, very top-heavy. They do have a couple good defenders, though, too. But they're a team that's known you can get them out of their skin a little bit. So hopefully if we can keep our composure, it should be A-OK. Panama is one of those coin flip teams. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they really just don't show up for the whole entire tournament. And Bolivia is just not good. Let's just be real. Shout out to all my Bolivians. Got some baddies over there too and stuff. But soccer ain't the thing. You know what I mean? And so they're going to probably finish at the bottom of that group. But I'd love to see how that ends up panning out. And hopefully U.S. can finish first, because we'll need that in terms of the seeding. And then finally, Group D, my favorite group. We got Colombia, my dogs, my boys, my familia. We got us in first. In second, we got Brazil. In third, we got Costa Rica. And in fourth, we got Paraguay. In my opinion, this is the group of death. This is going to be tough all the way up and down. For those who don't know, Colombia has not lost a game in a long time. We are now at I think 17-game unbeaten streak ever since we've gotten this new coach. And we've beaten the likes of Brazil. We spanked the USA 5-1 a couple weeks ago. So we've taken on a lot of the top teams. We beat Argentina in that run as well. So it'll be very interesting to see how we hold up. We have one of the better players in the tournament in Luis Diaz. We also are one of those hot-headed teams who is also known to, like, if you get under our skin, we'll get a couple red cards and get ourselves out of this tournament real fast. So hopefully we can keep our heads on straight. We do got a youngster, Joan Duran, who again, if he can keep his head on straight, he'll be a great contributor. He's also known to get himself out of the games early. Costa Rica is going to be the real X factor in this group, determining how good they are. Paraguay has a couple good players as well, but Costa Rica's been known to be one of those teams. It's kind of like the Swiss and the Euros. They just play this tournament really well. They just play team ball, and they're willing to just get whatever points are there. They're not even trying to be cool about it. And we all know what Brazil is. Brazil's the dancing demons. They're ready to stand over that ball, Copa your way right to the goal, and put some buckets on you and make you look bad while doing it. So a lot of these games, again, like I said, we've only had one game in it, so there'll be a lot to talk about going through it. I'd say so far the teams to stand out and really take a long look at for me are going to be Argentina, obviously playing very well, and they have Messi, who this might be his last, probably will be. So take a long look at my boy. Take a look at the United States. They're a team that's up and coming, and I think that they could. There are a lot of people's dark horses for this tournament, and a lot of people who watch world football are believers in Pulisic specifically and believe that this could be his tournament to kind of make a stamp on who he is. So take a look out for that. And then, man, you got to look out for my Colombians, man. Look out for Luis Diaz, the straight baller. Absolutely, I think could finish, gold booter or a top contributor regardless in terms of goals per game. This is a guy who, is really exciting to watch. And again, it's a Colombian team that plays really well for the badge, and should be really, really fun to watch as this thing progresses out. And James is back. He dealt with a lot of mental health issues. He's gotten himself back out there. He looks really healthy. He looks like he's having fun playing soccer again. So, man, it's good to see our old talisman back, man. Love you, James. The stuff you brought to us in that 2014 World Cup was magnifico. But also I'll have to shout out Brazil. It'd be unfair to move forward without saying, take a peek at Brazil. Talent all over the board. If there's one guy I'd say look at on that team, it'd be Vinicius. Obviously, this guy might be best player in the world right now, right? Ballon d'Or. So take a look at him. He's super awesome to watch. And again, they have talent all across the board. So that'll wrap it up today for the soccer piece. That'll wrap it up today for both sides of those tournaments. I'll have every last thing going down in those tournaments for you as they go along. And I'll make sure to keep you up on the assist race and the goal race. But that's going to wrap us up for today. Man, again, we have my boy with the hot corner. He'll be back always with the baseball, hitting it out the park. So another one from the Say Something Show. Another week in the book. Signing out. One love.